Every morning, you wake up with a choice that will determine whether you spend your day swimming upstream against an invisible current or floating effortlessly toward your destination. Most people never realize they're fighting a battle they were never meant to fight. Right now, as you sit here, you're either working with the natural laws of the universe or working against them. There's no middle ground. Every action you take, every thought you think, every word you speak is either aligned with the flow of life or creating resistance against it. The question is, which side are you on? You see, most of us have been taught a fundamental lie about success. We've been told that achievement requires struggle, that anything worthwhile must be difficult, that we need to push harder, work longer, and force our way through obstacles. But what if I told you that this entire approach is not only wrong, it's the very thing keeping you from everything you want? Here's what nobody talks about. You are 100% responsible for your results, but responsibility doesn't mean what you think it means. It doesn't mean muscling through resistance or forcing doors to open. Real responsibility means understanding that your consciousness creates your conditions, and when your consciousness is aligned with natural law, life works for you, not against you. Let me share something that will change how you think about effort forever. There was a person who spent 15 years trying to build a successful business, 15 years of 18-hour days, countless rejections, and constant struggle. Every door seemed locked. Every opportunity required enormous effort for minimal results. This person was convinced that success required suffering, that the harder the struggle, the more worthy the eventual victory would be. Then something shifted. Instead of asking, how can I force this to work, this person began asking, what wants to happen here? Instead of pushing against closed doors, they started paying attention to which doors were already opening. Within 6 months, everything changed. The business that had struggled for 15 years suddenly took off. Opportunities appeared effortlessly. The right people showed up at exactly the right time. What happened? Did the universe suddenly decide to be generous? Did luck finally smile upon this struggling entrepreneur? No. Something far more profound occurred. This person stopped working against natural law and started working with it. When you think about your biggest struggles right now, how much energy are you spending trying to force something that isn't ready to happen? How much of your day is consumed by pushing against doors that refuse to open? And more importantly, how many open doors are you walking past because you're so focused on the ones that are closed? Most people completely misunderstand how creation works. They think that wanting something badly enough, working hard enough, or being persistent enough will eventually force reality to bend to their will. But here's the truth that changes everything. The universe operates on the law of allowing, not the law of forcing. Think about a river for a moment. Water doesn't struggle to reach the ocean. It doesn't push against the riverbank or fight against rocks in its path. Water simply follows the path of least resistance, and yet it's powerful enough to carve Grand Canyons and shape entire landscapes. The secret isn't in the force, it's in the consistency of flow. Your life operates the same way. When you align yourself with the natural current of your purpose, when you stop trying to control every outcome and start trusting the process, you become like that river. Obstacles don't stop you, they redirect you towards something better. Setbacks don't defeat you, they reveal new possibilities you never would have seen while forcing your way down the wrong path. But here's where most people get confused. They think this means being passive, just sitting back and waiting for good things to happen. That's not flow, that's stagnation. True flow requires action, but it's inspired action, not desperate action. It's the difference between a bird fighting against the wind and a bird riding the wind. Both involve movement, but only one involves struggle. How do you know the difference? It's simpler than you think. When you're forcing, you feel tension, stress, and resistance from the world around you. People don't cooperate. Circumstances seem to work against you. Progress requires enormous effort for minimal results. You're swimming upstream, fighting every inch of the way. When you're flowing, you feel energized by your actions. Doors open in unexpected ways. The right people appear at the right time. Progress feels natural, even when it requires effort. You're riding the current, moving with power and grace toward your destination. This brings us to something crucial that most people never understand. Success isn't about external manipulation, it's about internal transformation. You can't force a seed to grow faster by pulling on it, but you can create optimal conditions for growth. You can prepare the soil, provide the right nutrients, ensure adequate water and sunlight. Then you trust the process. Your life works exactly the same way. Every day you have the opportunity to create optimal conditions for success, not by forcing outcomes, but by becoming the kind of person who naturally attracts what they want. This isn't mystical thinking, it's practical wisdom that successful people have understood for centuries. Consider the farmer who plants corn. He doesn't dig up the seeds every day to check if they're growing. He doesn't try to force the stalks to grow taller by pulling on them. He plants at the right time, tends the field consistently, and trusts that nature will do what nature does. The harvest comes not because he forced it,
but because he worked in harmony with natural principles. Your goals and dreams follow the same pattern. There's a time for planting, setting intentions and taking initial actions. There's a time for tending, maintaining consistent daily practices that support growth. And there's a time for harvesting, receiving the results of your patient, consistent effort.
The problem comes when you try to harvest during planting season, or plant during harvest season. When you're out of alignment with natural timing, everything becomes a struggle. You end up forcing actions that should flow naturally, and the resistance you encounter isn't a sign that you need to try harder. It's a sign that you need to adjust your approach. Here's what this looks like in practical terms. Reading 10 pages of a good book every day doesn't seem like much, but in a year you'll have read over 3,000 pages. That's equivalent to 7 or 8 full books of wisdom flowing into your consciousness. You can't force this kind of transformation in a weekend seminar, but you can allow it to unfold naturally through consistent daily practice. The same principle applies to physical fitness, financial abundance, relationship skills, or any other area where you want to see change. Small, consistent actions compound over time into extraordinary results, but only when you stop trying to force immediate dramatic changes and start trusting the process of gradual transformation. Think about bamboo for a moment. A bamboo plant can grow for years with virtually no visible progress above ground. For 4 years, 5 years, sometimes even longer, it appears that nothing is happening, but beneath the surface, an extensive root system is developing, creating the foundation for what's to come. Then, in the span of just 6 weeks, that same bamboo plant can grow 90 feet tall. Your breakthrough is like that bamboo. Right now, even if you can't see progress, even if it feels like nothing is changing, the root system of your success is developing beneath the surface. Every day you choose flow over force. Every moment you align with natural law instead of fighting against it. You're strengthening that foundation. But here's the crucial difference between those who achieve their dreams and those who give up too early. Understanding the difference between surrender and quitting. When most people hear the word surrender, they think it means giving up, accepting defeat, or becoming passive. But true surrender is actually the opposite of giving up. It's giving in to something greater than your limited perspective. Surrender means recognizing that your highest good might come in a form you haven't imagined yet. It means trusting that the universe has access to solutions your conscious mind hasn't conceived. It means being open to receiving what you want in a better way than you originally planned. This doesn't mean you stop taking action or abandon your goals. It means you hold your intentions lightly while taking your actions seriously. You do everything you can do, and then you allow space for grace to work through you and for you. How do you know when you're truly surrendering versus when you're just being passive? True surrender feels peaceful but powerful. You're still taking action but from a place of trust rather than anxiety. You're still committed to your goals but not attached to controlling exactly how they unfold. You're working with the natural flow of life rather than against it. Starting right now, in every situation you encounter today, you have the opportunity to ask yourself one simple question. Am I working with the flow or fighting against it? This question will reveal whether you're operating from wisdom or from fear, whether you're creating conditions for success or setting yourself up for struggle. The truth is, life wants to work for you. The universe is conspiring in your favor, but it can only do so when you stop trying to control every detail and start trusting the intelligence that beats your heart, grows your hair, and keeps the planets in perfect orbit around the sun. This same intelligence knows exactly how to manifest your highest good if you'll get out of its way and let it work. From this moment forward, you have a choice in every single situation. You can ask, how can I force this to happen? Or you can ask, what wants to happen here and how can I support it? One question leads to struggle and resistance. The other leads to ease and effectiveness. One keeps you swimming upstream. The other lets you flow toward your destination with power and grace. The patterns that govern success are predictable once you understand them. In every area of life, relationships, career, health, finances, there are natural cycles of planting, growing, and harvesting. There are times when opportunities are abundant and times when patience is required. There are seasons for action and seasons for rest. Understanding these patterns gives you power, but only when you work with them instead of against them. These patterns are so consistent, so reliable that once you recognize them, you'll never again feel like a victim of circumstances. You'll stop being surprised by setbacks and start anticipating opportunities. You'll understand why forcing during the wrong season always fails, and why patience during certain phases always pays off. But here's what most people miss. They're so busy fighting against the current season of their life that they completely miss the gifts that season offers. They're trying to harvest in winter and wondering why nothing grows. They're planting seeds in a storm and frustrated when they get washed away. Every successful person you've ever admired learned this truth. Life moves in cycles, and your job isn't to control these cycles, it's to recognize which cycle you're in and respond accordingly. When you try to force spring in the middle of winter, you waste enormous energy and accomplish nothing. When you align your actions with the natural season of your life, everything becomes easier. Think about this for a moment.
In your current situation, what season are you in? Are you in a planting season where you need to be putting in foundational work even though you can't see immediate results? Are you in a growing season where consistent daily effort is building something substantial? Or are you in a harvest season where opportunities are ripe and action needs to be swift and decisive?
Most people can't answer this question because they've never learned to read the signs. They treat every day the same way, applying the same strategy regardless of what the season requires. Then they wonder why their efforts feel so difficult and produce such inconsistent results. Here's how you recognize the seasons in your own life. In planting season, opportunities aren't obvious yet, but you feel called to learn, to prepare, to build skills and knowledge. This is when you invest in yourself even though you can't see the immediate payoff. Most people hate this season because it requires faith, but those who embrace it create the foundation for everything that follows. Growing season feels like momentum is building, but slowly. You're seeing some progress, but not the dramatic results you want. This is when consistency matters more than intensity. Small daily actions compound into significant progress, but only if you resist the urge to force faster growth. The bamboo spends years in growing season, building the root system that will support its eventual 90-foot expansion. Harvest season is when opportunities multiply rapidly. Doors open that were closed before. People respond positively to ideas they previously rejected. Results come quickly and abundantly. But here's the key. Harvest season only comes to those who were faithful during planting and growing seasons. You can't skip the preparation and expect the payoff. Right now, whatever challenges you're facing, they're not random. They're not punishment. They're not evidence that you're on the wrong path. Your challenges are part of the natural cycle, and they contain information you need for your next level of success. Every difficulty you encounter is asking you to grow in a specific way. Financial pressure asks you to become wiser with money. Relationship conflicts ask you to develop better communication skills. Health issues ask you to take better care of your body. Career setbacks ask you to clarify your true purpose and develop greater resilience. But here's where most people go wrong. They try to solve these challenges by force instead of understanding what the challenge is trying to teach them. They treat symptoms instead of causes. They fight against the lesson instead of learning from it. When you encounter resistance in any area of your life, before you push harder, ask yourself, what is this situation asking me to become? The answer to that question contains the key to not just solving the immediate problem, but preventing similar problems in the future. Consider someone who keeps attracting financial emergencies. They can work extra hours, take on debt, or ask for help to handle each crisis as it comes. But until they ask, what is this pattern trying to teach me about my relationship with money, the crises will keep coming. The resistance isn't the problem, it's the solution trying to emerge. The same principle applies to relationship conflicts that repeat the same patterns, health issues that won't resolve, or career obstacles that seem to appear everywhere you turn. The universe isn't punishing you. It's trying to graduate you to a level where these problems no longer exist. This completely changes how you handle difficulties. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You start asking, what's this making possible that wouldn't have been possible before? Instead of trying to force your way through challenges, you look for what wants to emerge from them. Some of the most successful people you know will tell you that their biggest breakthroughs came disguised as their worst setbacks. The business failure that led to finding their true calling. The relationship ending that opened space for the right partner. The health crisis that forced them to discover what really mattered. But they only gained these benefits because they chose to see challenges as redirection rather than rejection. They worked with the natural flow of events instead of fighting against what was happening. Now, while you're learning to work with natural cycles and find the gifts in challenges, there's something else that might be sabotaging your progress, your own unconscious patterns of self-defeat. These patterns are so subtle, so automatic, that most people don't even realize they're engaging in them. How many times have you been making real progress toward a goal, only to suddenly lose momentum for no apparent reason? How often have you had a great opportunity present itself, but somehow you found reasons not to pursue it? How frequently do you catch yourself saying, I can't because, or when this changes then I'll, or if only I had? These aren't random thoughts. They're self-sabotage patterns designed to keep you in your comfort zone. Your subconscious mind would rather have you stay in familiar dysfunction than risk unknown success. It will create very convincing reasons why now isn't the right time, why you're not ready yet, why you should wait for better circumstances. But here's what's really happening. Every time you're about to break through to a new level, your old identity tries to pull you back. The person you've been can't conceive of having what you want, so it creates resistance to prevent the very changes you say you desire. Listen to the difference in language. People who stay stuck say things like, I can't because I don't have enough money. I can't because I don't have enough time. I can't because people won't understand. Every statement focuses on what they lack, what's missing, what's preventing action. People who create breakthrough results say things like, how can I do this with the resources I have? What would this look like if it were simple? Who could help me make this happen? Every statement focuses on possibility, on solutions, on moving forward with what's available. The exact same circumstances can either stop you or propel you forward, depending on which mental framework you use to interpret them. The circumstances aren't the determining factor. Your response to the circumstances determines your results. Think about your own patterns for a moment. When you encounter an obstacle, what's your first instinct? Do you immediately start listing all the reasons why it's impossible, or do you start looking for ways to work around it? Do you focus on what you lack, or do you focus on what you can control? This isn't about positive thinking or pretending problems don't exist. It's about training yourself to look for solutions instead of dwelling on limitations. It's about asking better questions that lead to useful answers instead of asking questions that justify staying stuck. Here's one of the most common self-sabotage patterns: trying to control other people's responses instead of focusing on your own actions. You want to start a business, but you're worried about what people will think if it fails. You want to pursue a relationship, but you're afraid of being rejected. You want to speak up in meetings, but you're concerned about how others will respond. All of this mental energy goes into trying to control variables that are completely outside your influence, while the one thing you can control, your own actions, gets neglected. This is forcing at its most subtle and most destructive level. The antidote is simple but not easy. Focus exclusively on what you can control and release attachment to everything else. You can control your preparation, your effort, your attitude, and your response to whatever happens. You cannot control other people's opinions, market conditions, timing, or outcomes. When you pour your energy into what you can control and stop worrying about what you can't, two things happen immediately. First, your effectiveness increases dramatically because your energy is focused where it can actually make a difference. Second, your stress decreases significantly because you're no longer fighting battles you can never win. Another common pattern is forcing timelines that aren't realistic. You decide you want something, set an arbitrary deadline, and then exhaust yourself trying to make it happen faster than it naturally unfolds. This is like trying to force a pregnancy to last 6 months instead of 9. Some processes have their own timing, and pushing against that timing creates struggle without accelerating results. The solution isn't to abandon goals or timelines, but to hold them lightly. Set the intention, take consistent action, and allow the results to unfold at their natural pace. Often this approach actually produces faster results because you're working with natural momentum instead of fighting against it. Procrastination is another form of forcing, though it doesn't look like it on the surface. When you procrastinate, you're forcing yourself to stay in a state of incompletion. You're using mental energy to avoid action instead of using that same energy to take action. Either way, you're expending energy, but only one approach moves you toward your goals. The cure for procrastination isn't discipline or willpower, it's clarity about what you really want and why you want it. When your goals are aligned with your deepest values, action feels natural. When you're pursuing goals because you think you should rather than because you truly want to, procrastination is inevitable. Ask yourself this question about any goal you've been procrastinating on. Do I really want this, or do I think I should want this? If it's something you think you should want, either find a deeper reason that genuinely motivates you, or release the goal and focus on what you actually care about. There's a simple framework that prevents most self-sabotage automatically. Before making any significant decision, ask yourself 4 questions. Does this action increase my energy or decrease it? Does this feel aligned with my values and purpose? Are there signs this is the right timing? Am I working with natural momentum or forcing against resistance? If the action increases your energy, feels aligned, shows positive signs, and flows naturally, proceed with confidence. If any of these elements are missing, either wait for better timing or adjust your approach. This framework will save you countless hours of effort spent swimming upstream. The most powerful question you can ask in any situation is this: what wants to happen here? This question takes you out of forcing mode and into allowing mode. It opens you to possibilities you might not have considered. It helps you work with the natural flow of events instead of imposing your will on unwilling circumstances. When you ask what wants to happen here, you're acknowledging that there might be a better solution than the one you originally conceived. You're opening space for creativity, for unexpected opportunities, for synchronicities that can only occur when you're not forcing a predetermined outcome. This question works in business negotiations, relationship conflicts, creative projects, and personal challenges. It shifts you from trying to control the situation to partnering with the intelligence that's already at work in every situation. It transforms you from someone who pushes against life to someone who dances with life. Understanding these principles intellectually changes nothing. Real transformation happens when you embody these truths through daily practice, when you develop habits that automatically align you with natural law instead of fighting against it. The principles are simple, but implementing them consistently requires a completely different approach to your daily routine. The difference between those who transform their lives and those who just feel inspired for a few days comes down to this: the willingness to practice these principles daily until they become as natural as breathing. You can understand every concept we've covered, agree with every principle, and nod your head at every insight, but if you don't change what you actually do each day, nothing in your life will change. Most people approach personal development like they approach everything else. They try to force dramatic changes overnight. They completely overhaul their morning routine, commit to working out 2 hours a day, and vow to meditate for an hour every morning. Within a week, they've abandoned all of it and returned to their old patterns, convinced that transformation is too difficult. But that approach is forcing again. Real change happens through small, consistent practices that align your daily experience with natural law. It's not about doing more. It's about doing the right things consistently until they become automatic. The first hour of your day determines whether you'll spend the next 16 hours forcing or flowing. Most people wake up and immediately surrender their mental state to external circumstances. They check their phone, react to messages, worry about their schedule, and start the day from a place of anxiety and reactivity. This guarantees a day of pushing, struggling, and swimming upstream. When you begin your day by reacting instead of creating, you've already chosen force over flow. You're letting outside conditions determine your internal state, which means you'll spend the day trying to control external circumstances to feel better internally. But there's another way. What if the first thing you did each morning was connect with the source of all effective action? What if you started each day from a place of stillness rather than anxiety, and tension rather than reaction, gratitude rather than worry? Here's what this looks like in practice. Before you do anything else, before you check your phone, before you think about your schedule, before you start planning your day, spend 5 to 10 minutes in complete stillness. Not meditation, not visualization, not affirmations, just stillness, sitting quietly and connecting with the peace that exists beneath all the mental noise. This isn't about following a specific technique. It's about remembering who you are before the world tells you who you should be. It's about accessing the intelligence that beats your heart and grows your hair, the same intelligence that knows exactly how to manifest your highest good, if you'll get out of its way. In this stillness, you're not trying to get anything or achieve anything. You're simply connecting with the source of all achievement. You're aligning yourself with the power that moves the planets and changes the seasons. You're remembering that you don't have to force anything, because everything you need is already available. After this connection with stillness, set your intention for the day. Not your goals, not your to-do list, not what you want to accomplish. Your intention. What qualities do you want to embody today? How do you want to show up in your interactions? What energy do you want to bring to whatever situations arise? This might sound subtle, but it's the difference between creating your day and letting your day create you. When you set an intention to be patient, opportunities to practice patience will appear. When you intend to be open to possibilities, unexpected opportunities will present themselves. When you decide to approach challenges with curiosity instead of resistance, solutions will emerge more easily. The third element of your morning foundation is acknowledging what's already flowing perfectly in your life. Not gratitude as a technique to feel better, but recognition of the abundance that's already present. This trains your mind to notice what's working instead of focusing exclusively on what's missing. Most people start their day by thinking about their problems, their lacks, their worries. This creates a mental frequency that attracts more of the same. When you begin by acknowledging what's going well, you align with the frequency of abundance and success. Now, how long does this morning practice need to take? 5 minutes, 10 at most. The power isn't in the duration, it's in the consistency. Better to do 5 minutes every day for a year than 30 minutes once a week. The compound effect of daily alignment with natural law is far more powerful than sporadic intense efforts. But what about the rest of your day? How do you maintain this alignment when you're dealing with difficult people, unexpected challenges, and pressing deadlines? This is where the rubber meets the road, where principles become practical. Throughout your day, you have countless opportunities to choose flow over force. In every conversation, you can either listen for what wants to be said or push your own agenda. In every project, you can either follow inspiration or grind through resistance. In every relationship, you can either allow people to be themselves or try to change them into what you think they should be. The key is developing the habit of taking a 30-second pause before making any significant decision. In that pause, ask yourself, will this action increase my energy or drain it? Your body knows the answer before your mind starts analyzing. Trust that knowing. If something genuinely energizes you, if it feels aligned with your values and purpose, if there are signs that the timing is right, if it flows naturally without excessive resistance, proceed with confidence. If any of these elements are missing, either wait for better timing or adjust your approach. This doesn't mean avoiding all challenges or only doing things that are easy. It means distinguishing between productive challenge and unproductive struggle. Productive challenge energizes you even when it's difficult. Unproductive struggle drains you even when it's simple. Learning a new skill is productive challenge. Trying to force someone to change their mind is unproductive struggle. Building a business around your natural talents is productive challenge. Pursuing a career that goes against your core values is unproductive struggle. When you catch yourself forcing, and you will, because old patterns don't disappear overnight, don't judge yourself. Simply notice, breathe, and ask, what would flow look like in this situation? Often the answer is obvious once you stop pushing long enough to consider alternatives. Sometimes flow means stepping back and approaching the situation differently. Sometimes it means waiting for better timing. Sometimes it means asking for help instead of trying to do everything yourself. Sometimes it means releasing your attachment to a specific outcome and opening to something better. At the end of each day, spend a few minutes reviewing what happened. Not judging or criticizing, just observing. Where did you force today, and what did that teach you? Where did you flow today, and how can you do more of that tomorrow? What wants to emerge in your life, and how can you support it? This evening reflection builds wisdom over time. You start to recognize your patterns, understand your triggers, and develop the ability to course correct quickly when you notice yourself swimming upstream. Small course corrections prevent major life crises. One of the most powerful evening practices is releasing the day completely. Whatever happened, successes, failures, mistakes, victories, let it all go. Don't carry the energy of today into tomorrow. Each day is a fresh start, a new opportunity to align with flow. Set intentions for tomorrow, but hold them lightly. Be committed to your goals, but not attached to controlling exactly how they unfold. This balance between intention and surrender is where miracles happen. On a weekly basis, step back and assess the bigger picture. Are you moving toward what you genuinely want, or are you just staying busy? Are your daily actions aligned with your deeper purpose, or are you being driven by external expectations and pressures? Most people get so caught up in daily activities that they lose sight of whether those activities are actually taking them where they want to go. It's like being extremely efficient at climbing a ladder, only to discover it's leaning against the wrong wall. Monthly, take time to connect with your larger vision. Not goal setting in the traditional sense, but checking in with what wants to emerge through your life. Your purpose isn't something you have to figure out or create. It's something you allow to reveal itself through consistent alignment with your highest self. These practices work, but only if you actually do them. And here's the secret to consistency. Start smaller than you think you should. Most people fail because they try to change too much too quickly. They set up elaborate routines that require perfect conditions and enormous discipline. Instead, choose one practice that you can do regardless of circumstances. Maybe it's 5 minutes of stillness each morning. Maybe it's asking what wants to happen here before making decisions. Maybe it's taking 3 conscious breaths before reacting to challenging situations. Master one practice completely before adding another. Build the habit of consistency before building the habit of complexity. It's better to do something simple every day for months than something elaborate for a few days. Create environmental supports for your new practices. Put your journal next to your bed so you remember to write in it. Set a phone reminder to take conscious breaths throughout the day. Find an accountability partner who shares your commitment to growth. But remember, you're not trying to be perfect. You're building a new relationship with life based on flow rather than force. Some days will be easier than others. Some practices will feel natural immediately, while others will require patience and persistence. The compound effect of these daily choices is extraordinary. 1% improvement each day leads to being 37 times better in a year. But the real transformation isn't in the numbers. It's in who you become through the process of consistent alignment with natural law. As you develop these practices, you'll notice something remarkable happening. Life starts working for you instead of against you. Opportunities appear at exactly the right time. The right people show up when you need them most. Obstacles resolve themselves or reveal unexpected benefits. Synchronicities become commonplace. This isn't magic. It's the natural result of working with universal principles instead of fighting against them. When your consciousness is aligned with the flow of life, life flows toward you and through you in ways that seem miraculous but are actually completely natural. Remember where we started. Every morning you wake up with a choice between swimming upstream against an invisible current or floating effortlessly toward your destination. Now you understand what that choice actually looks like in practical terms. You don't have to force anything because the universe is already conspiring in your favor. Your job is simply to align with what wants to happen through you. The question isn't whether this works. The question is whether you're ready to work with it. Starting tomorrow morning, you have the opportunity to live a completely different life. Not by changing everything at once, but by changing how you approach everything. By choosing flow over force, allowance over resistance, trust over control. Your new life begins the moment you stop forcing and start flowing. That moment can be right now. The principles are clear, the practices are simple, and the power to transform your experience is already within you. Don't force anything. Instead, become so aligned with your purpose, so connected to your source, so clear in your intention, that life itself moves you toward everything you've ever wanted. The current is already there, waiting to carry you home.